When you think about creating a picture, you probably imagine a wooden palette covered in wet, liquid paints. But if you look around a typical Ugandan community, you will find a completely different kind of art palette, one made of torn newspaper, dry banana fibers, and bright fabric scraps from the local tailor. Taking these physical objects and gluing them onto a flat surface to create a picture is a technique called collage. The name itself comes from the French word coller, which simply means to glue. When an artist combines this gluing technique with traditional drawing, like starting with a pencil sketch and then pasting materials over it, it becomes mixed media. We can use these techniques to build a realistic portrait of a local tilapia fish. Notice the complex, overlapping texture of the silvery scales. We can recreate that physical feeling without using a single drop of paint. Once you start looking at your environment through the lens of collage, ordinary waste becomes a rich collection of artistic textures. Before we can begin our fish, we gather and sort our materials. We divide everything we collect into two distinct categories based on where they come from. This chart shows how we organize our findings. On the left side, we have natural materials. These are items found directly in nature, like dried leaves, rough sand, or maize seeds. They provide earthy colors and feel organic and brittle to the touch. On the right side, we have synthetic or man-made materials. These are items created by humans, often discarded as waste. Think of bright plastic sweet wrappers, smooth bottle caps, and colorful fabrics. To find these synthetic textures, you rarely have to look further than a busy local trading center. The shops and stalls are filled with manufactured items wrapped in smooth, brightly colored materials. For example, the offcuts of kitenge fabric you might collect from a tailor offer precise, repeating patterns that you won't find growing on a tree. Recognizing the difference between a natural, rough leaf and a smooth, synthetic piece of fabric allows you to choose the perfect material to match your real-life subject. Now that we have our materials, we need a way to stick them down. You don't need to buy glue from a shop. You can make a powerful adhesive right in the classroom. This diagram illustrates how we create cassava paste. We start by mixing cassava flour with a little cold water until it forms a smooth liquid. Then, as we stir in hot water, the heat transforms the mixture into a heavy, sticky gel. Once it cools, you are left with a thick, clear gel. This local paste is strong enough to hold heavy layers of fabric and leaves tightly to a piece of cardboard. Being a resourceful artist means looking past store-bought supplies to find local solutions for both the materials you see and the tools holding it all together. With our paste ready, we can follow 4 specific steps to assemble our fish. Step 1 is the sketch. We draw the outline of our fish onto a strong backing board. Using thick, recycled cardboard instead of paper prevents the wet paste from wrinkling the surface of our work. Step 2 is sorting. We group our collected waste into separate piles based on their color and how rough or smooth they feel. Step 3 is sizing the materials. While you might use scissors, it is often better to slowly tear paper and leaves with your hands. Tearing creates a soft edge that blends easily when glued down, whereas scissors leave sharp lines that can look unnatural. Finally, step 4 is pasting. We apply our adhesive and press the torn pieces onto the sketch. We overlap the pieces, much like the scales on a real fish, to ensure the plain cardboard underneath is completely covered. Following this sequence of planning, tearing, and layering is what keeps the artwork focused and recognizable. Here is the completed collage. Notice how the rough, brittle texture of the dry leaves mimics the body of the tilapia, while the torn pieces of blue newspaper create a vibrant water environment around it. Because we use waste materials, some people mistake collage for simple crafts. In reality, it is a complex art form practiced by professional artists around the world. By collecting synthetic waste, like old newspapers and discarded plastics, we are removing litter from our local communities and turning it into something valuable. This process of giving waste a second life is often called upcycling. You do not need an expensive set of paints or a specialized studio to produce high-quality work. With careful planning and a bit of cassava paste, you can transform the diverse textures of your environment into a single, unified artwork.